The Senate will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bridges. Buckner. Buckner.
Excused.
Coleman. Cook. Coram. Danielson.
Morning.
Donovan. Finberg. Fields. Gardner. Janal. Gonzalez. Hanson. Heisey. Holbert. Hawkes Lewis. Kirkmeyer. Colker. Lee. Liston. Lundeen. Moreno. Patterson. Priola. Rankin. Rodriguez. Scott.
Here.
Simpson. Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Story. Winter. Woodward. Zenzinger. Mr. President,
Here. With 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused, we have a quorum. Will the good senator from Colorado Springs District 10 please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal of Monday, March 29, 2021 be dispensed with and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes having the motion is adopted. Senate Services.
March 30th, correctly printed Senate Bills 200 and SJR 007, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 133, 142, 147, 152, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bill 132, correctly re-revised Senate House Bill 1137.
Third reading of bills. Third reading of bills, final passage. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1075?
House Bill 1075 by Representative Lantin and Senator Gonzalez concerning replacing the term illegal alien with worker without authorization as it relates to public contracts or services.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I move for the passage of House Bill 21-1075 on third reading and final passage, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1075 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Cook, Liston, Lundeen, Simpson, Kirkmeyer, Woodward, Smallwood, the Minority Leader, Gardner, Rankin, Scott. With 22 aye votes, 12 no votes, 0 absent, 1 excuse, House Bill 1075 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Moreno, Colker, Hanson, Bridges, Hawkes Lewis, Pedersen, Danielson, Winter, Donovan, Rodriguez, Janal, the Majority Leader, Lee. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1054?
House Bill 1054 by Representative Jackson, Senator Gonzalez concerning a housing assistance exception to the requirement to verify lawful presence in the United States for public benefits.
Senator Gonzalez.
Gracias, Presidente. Colleagues, I move House Bill 21-1054 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1054 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Simpson, Liston, Cook, Lundin, Scott, Gardner, Kirkmeyer, Quorum, Heisey, Smallwood, Rankin, Woodward. Minority Leader. With a vote of 20 ayes, 14 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1054 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Donovan, Hawkes Lewis, Moreno, Pedersen, Hansen, Kolker, Janal, Lee, Winter, Rodriguez, the Majority Leader, Bridges, Danielson, Story, will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 160?
Senate Bill 160 by Senator Gardner and Representative Snyder concerning certain administrative clarifications to local government election codes.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 160 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 160 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 160 is passed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 147?
Senate Bill 147 by Senators Fields and Holbert and Representative Froelich and Van Winkle concerning the continuation of the regulation of athletic trainers by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This one's for John. I move Senate Bill 147 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 147 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Smallwood, Woodward, Gardner. With 31 aye votes, 3 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 147 is passed. Co-sponsors. Kolker, Senators Kolker, Janal, will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 142?
Senate Bill 142 by Senators Pedersen and Donovan and Representatives Caraveo and McCluskey concerning removing certain restrictions related to abortion services and in connection therewith removing the requirement that the services be performed only at certain healthcare facilities and removing the requirements that only a physician perform the service.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move on third reading and final passage, Senate Bill 142, and ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 142 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Liston, the Minority Leader, Lundin, Gardner, Simpson, Heisey, Kirkmeyer, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Quorum, Rankin, Woodward, Cook. With 19 aye votes, 15 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 142 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Moreno, Hansen, Story, Hawkes Lewis, Bridges, Kolker, Janal, Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Danielson, Majority Leader, Winter.
Go ahead.
Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Bill 152?
Senate Bill 152 by Senators Lee and Gardner and Representatives Herod and Soper concerning the implementation of the Committee on Legal Services recommendations in connection with legislative review of state agency rules.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 152 on third reading and final passage with gratitude to my co-sponsor and the Office of Legislative Legal Services. Urge an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 152 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 152 is passed. Co-sponsors. Mr. Minority Leader. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 133?
Senate Bill 133 by Senators Quorum, Representative Caitlin, and Will concerning alcohol beverages donated for the purpose of a special event held at a club license to sell alcoholic beverages by the drink to club members for consumption on club premises.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 133 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 133 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Donovan. With 33 aye votes, 1 no vote, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Senate Bill 133 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Gonzalez, Zenzinger, Cook, Janot, Sonnenberg, Woodward, Moreno, Simpson, Liston, Gardner, Smallwood, Scott, Colker, Bridges, Kirkmeyer, Rankin, Priola. Please add the President. Senator Pedersen. And Senator Lundin. And Senator Lundin. Will the clerk please add Senator Pedersen and Senator Lundin as co-sponsors on Senate Bill 133? For the co-sponsors? General orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes having the motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself to the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the coat rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 162 by Senators Gardner, Representative Snyder, and Soper concerning spendthrift provisions in trust pursuant to the Colorado Uniform Trust Code. Senate Bill 171 by Senators Gardner, Representative Snyder, and Soper concerning the Uniform Fiduciary Income and Principal Act. Senate Bill 151 by Senator Buckner and Representatives Young and Rich concerning transparency and reading programs implemented in public schools.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports? Senator Fenberg, Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of all the bills on the consent calendar and their associated committee reports, which includes Senate Bill 162 and the Judiciary Committee report, Senate Bill 171, and Senate Bill 151, along with its Education Committee report.
Now, is there any discussion on any of the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the committee reports on general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All of those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had in consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 162 as amended, Senate Bill 171, Senate Bill 151 as amended, passed on third reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 162 as amended, Senate Bill 171, Senate Bill 151 as amended, passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Second reading of bills. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself again into the committee of the whole for consideration of general order second reading of bills.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes having the motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for consideration of general order second reading of bills. And Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The coat rule is relaxed. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we proceed out of order to take up Senate Bill 124.
The motion is to proceed out of order and take up Senate Bill 124. All of those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will proceed out of order. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 124?
Senate Bill 124 by Senator Lee and Representative Wiseman concerning the creation of a Class II felony offense when the death of a person is caused by a participant without deliberation in the course of the commission of specified felony offenses.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 124 and the Judiciary Committee report.
Do the report.
The Judiciary Committee adopted L002, which was basically a strike below on the bill. I move for adoption of the committee report.
Is there any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The aye has it, and the committee report is adopted. Senator Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 124, as amended, basically makes felony murder a Class II felony crime of violence with a sentence of 16 to 48 years with a mandatory 5 years in parole. Under current law, felony murder is a first-degree murder, just like premeditated murder, with a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. This bill, as amended, requires that death be caused by one of the participants, not anyone. The amendment also makes the affirmative defense more clear and available, and it makes conforming amendments so that JCAP is available, and significantly, the bill is not retroactive. This bill passed out of the Judiciary Committee by a bipartisan vote of 4-1. It is a compromise bill that we worked with all of the stakeholders on. Some wanted a lesser sentence for the less culpable, and some wanted a higher sentence for the more culpable. We reached the compromise of crime of violence, F2, 16 to 48 years.
support for this bill this year was especially broad. The District Attorney's Council in years past has opposed this bill. This year, 7 district attorneys publicly came out in support of the bill, including Christian Champagne, the chair of the Colorado District Attorney's Council, came out in support of the bill, along with DA Beth McCann, Alexis King, Brian Moss, Michael Doherty, and Gordon McLaughlin, as well as Heidi McCollum in the 5th up in Summit County. CDAC itself did not take a position, but clearly a third of their membership came out in full-throated support for the bill. 2 district attorneys testified against the bill in a 3.5-hour hearing. That was the only opposition testimony we heard. We didn't hear from COVA or any others. Just recently, interestingly enough, the Americans for Prosperity came out in support of this bill. And let me read the compelling statement that the Americans for Prosperity made. AFP believes that our criminal justice system should promote public safety, preserve human dignity, and provide equal justice for all under the law. Accountability is an essential component of justice, but that accountability must be proportional based on the harm caused to the victim and the community. The felony murder, the Americans for Prosperity said, is an exception to the standard principles and violates principles of due process and proportional punishment. Colleagues, the bedrock principle of our American criminal justice system is that a person should be punished for the crime that they committed. This principle holds that we punish people proportionally and that we hold them accountable for what they did in proportion to what they did. Justice requires that accountability be proportional based on responsibility for the harm caused to the victim. We aspire to a system that is fair, equitable, and proportionate. This is what accords with our sense of justice, but felony murder is an exception to these principles of fairness, responsibility, and proportional accountability. With felony murder, liability is imposed regardless of intent. Liability is imposed if a death occurs under Colorado law to anyone in the course of committing any of 6 felonies. And that's really the gist of what felony murder is about. If a person commits any of 6 felonies, arson, robbery, burglary, kidnapping or escape, or sexual assault, even if the harm occurs at the hands of an associate, even if the associate was not present, felony murder attaches. Life without parole becomes the sentence. Liability for felony murder in Colorado is imposed on someone literally along for the ride if death occurs. Felony murder holds a person guilty of first-degree murder with a mandatory life sentence when they didn't intend to kill anyone, when they didn't know anyone would die, and even despite the fact that they were not the person who caused the death. Colorado law imposes liability for felony murder as first-degree murder in Colorado without knowledge or intent to kill. The same is done for premeditated murder, pre-planned murder, murder done with malice of forethought. In Colorado, we have 3 types of first-degree murder. What you hear about most often is premeditated murder with malice of forethought. A person planned to do a killing and did the killing. The second type of first-degree murder, for which life sentence is imposed, is what's called universal malice, manifesting extreme indifference to life. That second type of first-degree murder occurs, the law school example
is if someone just shoots at a moving train as it's going by. They don't intend to kill a particular person, but they're demonstrating universal malice and indifference to human life. The other example would be dropping a brick off a tall building in downtown during rush hour. There's almost an expectation or a reckless disregard of the expectation that a person will die. So premeditated murder, universal malice murder, and felony murder. Felony murder is the exception because no intent to cause the murder can occur. So the second-degree murder in Colorado, which we propose to move felony murder into, is murder in which a person knowingly causes death or a heat of passion crime following a highly provoking act. And being sensitive to the sensibilities of my colleague, the classic case of that is a man breaking into a hotel room and seeing another man with his wife, and that irresistible impulse to kill manifests itself. That's called heat of passion murder. It's second-degree murder, and that's where we propose to put felony murder. The result of felony murder under current law is a required mandatory sentence, even if death is unintended, even not knowing death would occur, even if they did nothing to cause the death. It's a strict liability crime. It's a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, resulting in the wrong result. Let me give an example which I think illustrates how this felony murder operates. And this is purely a hypothetical. Adam is 19 years old and homeless. While hanging out on the 16th Street Mall, he's approached by 3 other teenagers. They tell Adam they're going to steal a car and go for a joyride. So that could be the felony. Adam goes with them. They walk around the corner. They approach the car that has just been parked. As the driver is getting out of the car, they approach the driver. One of the teenagers pulls a screwdriver in a threatening manner out of his pants and tries to push past the driver. The driver pulls out a gun. The 4 teenagers, including Adam, run. The driver shoots at them as they're running away. He misses, he hits a bystander and kills the bystander. What crime is Adam guilty of? What punishment does Adam receive? Under Colorado felony murder law, colleagues, Adam is guilty of felony murder, first-degree murder, for the death of the bystander, even though the bystander was shot by the driver of the car. The mandatory minimum penalty, which we propose to change for felony murder, is life in prison with no possibility of parole. Adam has no defense. The judge has no discretion to impose a lighter sentence. Adam was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I suggest to you that this is the wrong approach. I will talk to you briefly about some of the witnesses at the hearing, some of whom spent decades in prison despite having not committed the crime, for frankly being in the wrong place at wrong time. We heard from people who did not expect death to occur, but were convicted and sentenced to life without parole. We heard from a lady who was actually running away from a robbery with her companion. She was caught, arrested by the police, put in handcuffs, sitting in the back of the police car. Her companion associate continues to run away. As he's being chased by the police, he turns around, fires a shot, kills a policeman. The lady sitting in the back of the police car goes to prison, life without parole for the rest of her life. Felony murder. We heard from Curtis Brooks. His picture and story were in the paper last week, who was a 15-year-old, homeless, similar incident to the hypothetical with Adam. He hooked up with others to steal a car. Someone died. Curtis Brooks spent I think, 25 years in prison before he was released. One other factor I want to talk about with respect to felony murder, and it's something that is endemic in our criminal justice system in Colorado, and that is the disproportionate imposition of the penalty and the charge on minorities, people of color. Fully 79% of people charged with felony murder are young people of color. 65% of the people convicted of felony murder are young people of color. For any of you who have raised teenagers, you know how impulsive they are, you know how little they restrain themselves, you know how subject to pack mentality they are. So teenagers, young people, are primary people that get involved in these types of offenses. So in addition to being harsh, disproportionate, it is also discriminatory. Justice has evolved in our country. We no longer execute children. We no longer execute people with mental illnesses. Unlike England, we did not execute people for stealing food. We have evolved from this era of strict punishments. So I ask for your support for this bill. We are not abolishing felony murder, as some advocates wanted. It does not provide for the more minimal sentences that some wanted. It does not provide for higher sentences for the more culpable people that some wanted. But it simply changes the sentence from life without the possibility of parole to 16 to 48 years. I would suggest 48 years in prison is virtually a death sentence. The bill does this by changing the classification from F1 first-degree murder to F2 second-degree murder. Makes the other changes that I suggested earlier. By making these modifications, ladies and gentlemen, brings us closer to a sentencing scheme that punishes people for what they actually did and imposes a punishment which is proportional to the culpability. We convict people for what they did. Life without parole is reserved for people who intentionally kill someone and actually kill someone. The bill moves Colorado closer toward those aspirational goals of justice and fairness, with opportunity for hope and a possibility for redemption. I ask for your aye vote for Senate Bill 124.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 124? Senator Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Here we go again. Here we go again. And when I say that, I mean there's no truth in sentencing. They keep moving the mark. I was up here last session talking about the death penalty, and I am going to be talking about Senate Bill 124. But the sponsors of the bill said it was not going to be retroactive. And the governor comes back and says that their sentence is going to be revised to life in jail without parole. Senate Bill 124 is not the right approach, it is not the right time, and it sends a very unclear message We need to see our relationships with others as it relates to murder. We need to see and recognize our relationship as it relates to victims of crime. Where's the connectivity with a crime victim that's been buried? What's the relationship with my son? And the offender in that case said, Vivian, my son's fiancée, that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then you have the El Paso County senator come up here, Adam was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Really? Adam was at the wrong place at the wrong time? So was my future daughter-in-law. So was my son. There were 3 offenders in that car. They were ambushed and murdered. And now we want to move the penalty because you were in the car when 2 innocent people were killed. You don't get murder, first degree. You get 48 years. Who knows if that's going to happen? Because you know you get good time. What's good time? You might get 48 years, but they'll say, okay, you go to this program, you do this, you do that, and before you know it, it's 25 years. Or whatever the new standard is going to be. Wrong place at the wrong time. Birds of the feather flock together. We know who bullies are. Even the police know who criminals are. They know where crime is taking place. And if you're hanging around with someone that's known to be a convicted felon or known to be armed and dangerous, and you want to be in a car with them, and they commit robbery or whatever else, they don't get the same penalty. Felony murder is complicated. It is complicated. And it's not your average murder. My son's murder was not average. 3 defendants in the car. They were trying to silence his testimony. I'm still trying to find out all the facts. I don't know if it was 1 person with a gun, 2 persons with a gun, or 3 persons with a gun. Well, I can tell you that what now is they're all guilty. We cannot have this one-size-fits-all when it deals with crime. That's what the senator's saying. One size fits all when it comes to felony murder. Really? Do we really know all the different circumstances? Thank you. My daughter-in-law to be was beautiful. And the offender in the case had the audacity to say she was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what you get with felony murder people. I was just going along for the ride. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just going along for the ride. You've just defined every single scenario for felony murder. I didn't know. I didn't know he was going to go in there and rob somebody and kill. I didn't know. You've already telegraphed every murder. I did not know. You've already given them the script. We cannot have a one-size-fits-all justice system because all murder is not the same. and to reduce felony murder down to, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I did not know. It's hogwash. Members, I am asking you to vote no on Senate Bill 124 because it's not the right approach, it's not the right time, and we can't be defining felony murder because someone says, I didn't know. I just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's wrong, it's inappropriate, and it's not the Colorado way. Please vote no on Senate Bill 124.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will not attempt to add to that which my colleague from Arapahoe County has stated, because to do so may detract from the passion and the compelling argument that she makes for this. I simply rise to endorse her support, her position, and urge each and every one of you to consider that this is not simply wrong place, wrong time for the defendant. It is often wrong place and wrong time for the victim. And we have repeatedly in the past two sessions, and this one as well, put criminals ahead of crime victims. We do so every day here. Don't do so this time. I urge a no vote on Senate Bill 124.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 124. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over the remaining of the general order second reading of bills calendar until tomorrow, March 31st.
The motion is to lay over the remainder of the calendar until tomorrow. Is there any objection? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the balance of the calendar will be laid over until tomorrow. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had one bill under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had in consideration the following task bills, being the second reading thereof, makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 124 is amended, passed on second reading in order, engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bills 177, 143, 61, 114, and 167 laid over until March 31st and retain their place on the calendar.
Senator Zenzinger.
I move the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? Senators Gardner, Smallwood, Lundin, Liston. With a vote of 30 ayes, 4 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 124 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 177, 143, and Senate Bill 061, Senate Bill 114, Senate Bill 167. Laid over until 3/31/21 and retaining its place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 026?
Senate Bill 26 by Senators Moreno and Representative Ortiz concerning the eligibility for discharge of LGBT veterans for specified state benefits.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 26.
Will the good senator tell us why we should concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 026?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, in the House, they added a couple of things. One was a discussion that we had here in the Senate around bad conduct discharges that the senator from El Paso County brought up. We made sure to add that language, so that language is now in the bill. The other change in the House was regarding consensual sexual conduct. Clearly, we developed an exclusion here that if it related to someone's sexual orientation, that is excluded. But the military has rules of conduct, and it's important that those be maintained throughout this bill. So it added some language around those rules of conduct, and that could not have been the reason that you were discharged from the military. Instead, it had to have done with your sexual orientation or your gender identity or gender expression. I ask for your support for concurrence.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 026. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 26 as amended.
The motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 026 as amended. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 026 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Senators Janal, Zenzinger, Hawkes Lewis, Gonzalez, Kolker, Lee. Please add the President. And Senator Story. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 073?
Senate Bill 73 by Senators Danielson and Corman, Representative Michael Zune and Soper concerning changing the statute of limitations applicable to civil actions alleging sexual misconduct, which the statute of limitations has not yet run as of January 1st, 2022.
Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 73.
Will the senator please explain why the Senate should concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 073?
Thank you, Mr. President. Although I don't like to admit it, the House members saw a way to tighten up some of the language around the sexual misconduct definition, and they kind of just made the bill a little bit better and more focused on what we needed to get done. So we feel that those were good changes and urge an aye vote on concurrence.
Is there further discussion? Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Had I been thinking earlier in the day yesterday, I would have asked for remote testimony so I would not have to stand for this embarrassment. Ask for an aye.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 073. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 73 as amended.
The motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 073 as amended. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 073 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Senators Janal, Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all of the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Members of the Board of Trustees of Colorado School of Mines effective December 31st, 2020 for terms expiring December 31st, 2024. Jesus Juan Salazar of Denver, Colorado, Democrat, who is a graduate of Colorado School of Mines, reappointed. Bruce Eric Grukok of Omaha, Nebraska, Republican, who is a graduate of Colorado School of Mines, appointed. Judith Lee Steinberg of Aspen, Colorado, Democrat, who is not a graduate of Colorado School of Mines, appointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar, which includes members of the Board of Trustees of the Colorado School of Mines.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, all of the appointments on the consent calendar are confirmed. Change in sponsorship. The following change in bill sponsorship will occur. Senator Rankin will be added as a Senate co-prime sponsor along with Senator Buckner on Senate Bill 151. Change in sponsorship. The following change in bill sponsorship will occur. Senator Gonzalez will be added as a Senate co-prime sponsor with Senator Story on Senate Bill 061. Committee reports.
March 29th, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1063 be referred to the committee whole with favorable recommendation. March 29th, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1076 be referred to the committee whole with favorable recommendation. March 29th, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1124 be referred to the committee whole with favorable recommendation and with the recommendation to be placed on the consent calendar.
Announcements. Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Local Government Committee will be meeting at 2 p.m. today, and we will be hearing one bill, and that bill is House Bill 1061.
Senator Gonzalez.
Good morning, members. The members of the Senate State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee will be meeting today at 2 p.m. in the Old Supreme Court, and we'll be hearing House Bill 1072.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health Committee will be meeting upon adjournment in the Old Supreme Court. Sorry, I'm at Finance. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have a few bills to read across. You do not need to be here for it, but you're welcome to join if you'd like to. Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 11 a.m. today.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will stand in a recess until 1100.